Hello my friends, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Eddie. I am a native Texan and photographer who now lives in Moscow, Russia. And today I would like to talk to you guys about the geopolitical realignment of the United States with the global South, all at the direction of President Trump and his administration. And it scares the bejesus out of so many people. Could this be the sum of all our fears? Check it out. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous day. Sunny day here in Moscow, Russia. Clear blue skies. Oh my gosh. It is gorgeous today. So I just had to come out and do a quick walk and talk because I haven't done one of these in quite a while. And we're going right over here to my favorite little forest park. And we do a little walk and maybe sit down a little bit and talk about the geopolitical realignment of the United States away from the West and toward the global South. Let's walk to the park. So yeah, here we are. My favorite forest park. Hey, it's beautiful. I haven't been here since last year. Actually, last winter, if we could put it that way. Been spending a lot of time on X. And while I see MAGA just going completely bonkers on Attorney General Pam Bondi and her, I don't know, some people call it refusal, some people call it slow walking, others call it a cover-up because she has not released the JFK files. She has not released the Epstein flight logs. And I laugh at it because to me, it's just a huge, huge distraction from the bigger picture, the bigger news of what's going on in the world. And if you don't know what's going on in the world, I'm about to tell you. If you're an American, you may not be ready to hear this. But ever since Trump came into office, of course, he has an agenda. And if you haven't noticed, he is going full speed ahead with his agenda. And this agenda is drawing the United States ever closer, relationship-wise, with the Russian Federation. And it's driving a wedge with the collective West. Now, who is the collective West? Well, the collective West would be essentially European Union, the UK. We can throw in Australia, New Zealand. Let's just throw in Japan and South Korea, just for kicks. But that's essentially the collective West. So if you haven't noticed, President Trump's tone with regard to Russian President Vladimir Putin, toward the Russian Federation, toward the war in Ukraine, which, by the way, in Russia, we do not refer to the military activity in Ukraine as a war. It is known as a special military operation, SMO. So if you hear me refer to SMO, this means the special military operation. And because I just don't want to keep propagating this story that the military operation that's occurring between Russia and Ukraine is war. Because it's not. It's not being fought in that way. Okay, I'm not here to adjudicate that. But yeah, there's a huge shift away from the collective West. And have you noticed at the same time, President Putin seems to be pushing closer toward Trump. So, not too long ago, I believe it's a week ago, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Secretary of State Marco Rubio met in Riyadh to formally discuss establishing formal diplomatic relationship with the United States and Russia. Wow. Huge news. And in fact, today, which is February 27th, the day of this filming, I believe they are meeting again, or at least U.S. and Russian representatives are meeting, this time in Istanbul, to discuss the opening of embassies and staffing those embassies, and also the appointing of diplomats to various positions within those organizations. So this is huge. Now, at the same time that this is occurring, you have Ursula von der Leyen. This is a, don't quote me on this, I think she's German. But she's an unelected bureaucrat, the head of the European Union, and she is out for blood. Because essentially, after World War II, the countries that I just mentioned in the collective West just essentially became happy followers of the U.S. hegemony. I mean, they supported it. They followed us. They bought into it, lock, stock, and barrel. And at the same time, they were paid quite handsomely. And then when the EU came into being, well, they just followed suit as well. So now that Trump is pulling away from the EU, and oh, check this out, I'll play the video here. But Trump just basically went up to the EU and cold-cocked them in the face.
But I love the countries of Europe. I love all countries, frankly, all different. But the European Union's it was formed in order to screw the United States. I mean, look, let's be honest. The European Union was formed in order to screw the United States. That's the purpose of it. And they've done a good job of it, but now I'm president.
What will happen if these countries where the EU retaliate?
They can't. I mean, they can try.
Way to go, Trump, man. Way to go. So, yeah, of course, this pissed off Miss van der Leyen. And she has vowed to seek retribution. And of course, now Trump is imposing 25% tariffs on products imported from the EU. So it seems that Trump wants peace between the US and Russia, and he wants peace in Ukraine, but he's willing to start a war, at least an economic war, with the EU. So Jeffrey Starmer, I believe that's his first name. Don't quote me on this. I'm not a smart guy. But he's on his way to Washington to meet with Trump.
Between our two countries. That is why this is the greatest alliance for prosperity and security I think the world has ever seen. Whenever necessary, we absolutely backed each other up, and that's at the
Could
core
you
of
take
the
on Russia by yourselves?
Well,
To see if Trump will spare the UK from the Trump agenda. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know, man. I don't know. Check this out, man. Check out this beauty. All I got to say is Russia's beautiful. Moscow's beautiful in winter. Anyway, let me continue with my walk. I was looking for a place to sit down where I could continue this talk, but we'll see what we can find. All right, I have found a spot. Let's go have a sit down. Isn't this beautiful? Wow. Check it out. Man. We have Trump, who's made an agreement with Zelensky for mineral rights in Ukraine, and almost simultaneously, we have President Putin making an offer to the Trump administration of a similar nature for mineral rights and possibly some sort of cooperation with regard to rare earth minerals in Russia. Incredible. So we've got Trump pivoting away from the European Union, and at the same time you have President Putin drawing closer to America. Something I've always prayed for, because I've prayed for peace. I've prayed for better cooperation and just friendship between not just Russia and America, but Russia and all nations, America and all nations. And we see it coming to fruition now. And I just think it's great. I love it. But Ursula doesn't like it, at all, because this angers the collective West. Where does this leave the EU? Well, it leaves it basically headless and without any leadership. You've got Ursula von der Leyen there, but she's no leader. She may be the point person, but she is not a leader. And the West, the collective West, doesn't know what to do. They did not have a contingency plan for Trump. You can tell, they never thought Biden et al., the cabal, the deep state, would ever be threatened by an outside force. They just never saw it coming. So there was no contingency plan for Trump. Trump 47 comes in and just kicks everybody to the curb. Basically, if you were not Team Trump, you're going to the curb. And that's what we see happening. Now, Ursula has made some really startling comments lately. She wants to pre-bunk speech, not debunk false narratives or false speech. She wants to pre-bunk speech. Sounds awfully like censoring free speech. But that's exactly what she's aiming for. Just listen to Monster van der Leyen speak about this right here.
And finally, it takes resilience. As technology evolves, we need to build up societal immunity around information manipulation. Because research has shown that pre-bunking is much more successful than debunking. Pre-bunking is basically the opposite of debunking. In short, prevention is preferable to cure. Perhaps if you think of information manipulation as a virus, instead of treating an infection once it has taken hold, that is debunking. It is much better to vaccinate so that the body is inoculated. Pre-bunking is the same approach. Because disinformation relies on people passing it on to others. It is essential that people know what malign information's influence is and what the techniques are that are behind it. And as the knowledge goes up, our chances of being influenced goes down. And that builds up the society resilience that we will need.
So what do you think about Maleficent, Ursula von der Leyen, and her desire and her idea to pre-bunk speech in the EU? The EU is nothing but a woke virus. And virus brings up a very interesting point, and I'm just going to say this and kind of wrap up this video. But it reminds me of the Tom Clancy film, The Sum of All Fears. This is a 2002 USA versus Russia / Cold War CIA spy thriller. It's a pretty good movie. I really enjoy it. But there are a couple of scenes in the movie that seem to mirror a lot of what's happening today in our world. If you haven't seen the film, you need to go see it. But there's something I want to talk about in this film. So, in the movie The Sum of All Fears, the villain character, who, if you ask me, this character is based on George Soros. But the character is speaking to an audience over a computer. And his words are shocking. And I'm going to read you his speech because I cannot show you the actual clip because of copyright reasons, but bear with me while I read this to you. And I'll put the words on the screen so you can follow along. But this is incredible. It says, most people believe the 20th century was the death struggle of communism versus capitalism, and that fascism was but a hiccup. Today, we know better. Communism was a fool's errand. The followers of Marx gone from this earth. But the followers of Hitler abound and thrive. Hitler, however, had one great disadvantage. He lived in a time when fascism, like a virus, like the AIDS virus, needed a strong host in order to spread. Germany was that host. But strong as it was, Germany could not prevail. The world was too big. Fortunately, the world has changed. Global communications, cable TV, the internet. Today, the world is smaller, and a virus does not need a strong host in order to spread. This virus is airborne. Let no man call us crazy. They called Hitler crazy, but Hitler wasn't crazy. He was stupid.
You don't fight Russia and America. You get Russia and America to fight each other and destroy each other.
You don't fight America and Russia. You get America and Russia to fight each other and destroy each other. Yeah. What do you think about those words? It could have come directly from a playbook of the deep state. And it kind of sounds like that's where America and Russia were headed to. This is where America and the collective West were pushing America and Russia to fight each other. And they were using Ukraine as a staging point, as ground zero. And they wanted to use Chernobyl and maybe a dirty bomb or something that would trigger, be like a flashpoint to a larger armed confrontation between American and Russian troops. And now you've got Trump, who wants to be a peacemaker. You've got Putin, who wants to be a peacemaker as well. But you've got the collective West, like rabid dogs, just ready to pounce and attack anyone who wants peace. Think of it. Think of it. The collective West, minus the USA, would rather fight a war. I heard, was it Kaja Kallas? I think that's how you pronounce her name. I'm not very smart, remember? But I think she even said that the only way to have peace is through war. Something to that effect. I'll see if I can find the actual quote. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Wow. Wow. Okay, my friends, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Пока.